else would get it, but that doesn't.
This is a work of fiction. Thank you, game.
Really? Crazy.
I love how it opens with that.
I like how it has to specify.
Yeah. Hello.
I've been here before. What was I doing last time? Where were we going?
Uh,
No idea.
well,
I
we had
popped in.
just wait.
I
Okay, we
popped for a
finished.
millisecond to check what you guys were doing when we started the Minecraft server, and then I immediately left.
That's okay.
So we finished with the coroner. We finished
Yeah.
visiting the body. And then
And they didn't show us the body.
they didn't show us the body, and
Which
I am
is
still upset
fucked.
about that.
I finished. I did not finish. You've been here before. Okay. Sat right here in this lobby waiting for David to come and treat me to lunch. At least, I think it was this lobby. Could have been some other floor, could have been an entirely different building. All these corporate towers of Babel. Is that a place? Babel? I'm gonna call it Babel.
That's a literal story from the Bible. Not literal story, it's a story from the Bible.
I'll ask Kristen about it later.
Hey, Kristen, what's Babel? And then Kristen's gonna be like, boy, am I glad you asked.
Dude, I love talking to Kristen about religion, though, like, genuinely. It's amazing. Hold on.
Yeah,
I am going to just send them a message.
Hey, Kristen, what's Babel? I could tell you too, but it's way more fun to ask Kristen.
It is.
It is.
Okay. All these corporate towers of Babel feel like interchangeable fractals to me. Fractals? Sorry, that's a reference none of you would get. It's from a personal D&D game.
I just quite like fractals.
I love fractals. Holding in on themselves in patterns of narcissistic paranoia. So monumental that in the scale of their hubris, they needed to use none. Euclideus.
Please don't talk about the Clidius.
Why not?
Because it is too clear.
Geometry when drawing up the blueprints. The greatest minds of each generation come together just to find the most expensive way to shove their heads up their asses. Adonai, is something bothering you? Just doing the math on how long we'll be kept waiting here. Apparently, someone will be here shortly. So maybe if I pass the time by glaring around the place, it'll improve my mood. They changed the logo again. It's not good to change your logo a bunch. Guys, you need to be recognizable. Noble Electronics. How does it feel stepping in here? Is this some kind of religious experience for you? It's just the corporation where my father worked. Careful now, or they'll burn you for heresy against the company.
Get out of my bed!
You said it again. The company, as if it's a proper noun. You're mimicking the employees, aren't you? So it can't obey simple orders, but it can pick up on that? Is it just a part of the corporate culture? Noble's one of the biggest corporations there is. One of the biggest there's ever been. We mere humans can't hope to escape the gravity of anything that size, no matter where you live or how far off the grid you think you are. So imagine what it's like working for them. You live in company dorms, working company quarters. Wherever you go, that logo's above your head. You eat,
I don't know
sleep.
why, but this just reminded me of the fact that Microsoft has a leveling system when you work for them. Like it's too much to get into right now.
I have not heard of that.
It's crazy. I'll send you stuff about it later.
Awesome. Also, this is completely unrelated. I love her hands in this scene. It forms a little heart, and that's really cute.
Wait, it forms a little heart?
Yeah,
Where?
look.
Oh, it's hard to see through the text box, but yes, it does.
It's so cute. I love when she holds her hands like that. You eat, sleep, and breathe on Noble's timetable at its discretion. When you spend your whole life inside of it, Noble must feel big enough to be the only company there is. To think this is only one room. This complex is so massive that it doesn't even feel man-made. It's like it was carved out of the rock by waves, like it's always been here. That's the con. If this place was actually natural, there'd be birds everywhere. I hadn't considered that. Why aren't there birds in here? Probably because of
They
what
killed
they
them.
do to the ones that get in.
Oh my god, I was right.
You're right. I'm kidding. You're wrong. Sorry.
Oh.
Though, I don't have a better explanation.
So I might be right.
You might be right. Is there anything else, or do I just have to watch these people? So much
Watch.
energy. So many people. Also, intent. You kidding? It's Saturday. The place is half empty. But doesn't everyone work on Saturdays? All the parents do, so they don't need to find childcare on Sunday. Oh, also, I'm pretty sure they work, like, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week.
What?
Yeah. There was an article saying that they, like, a 12-6 work week, and how it gives them more free time than ever. Yeah.
What?
It's horrible.
Wait. I don't like the implication of all the parents do. Does that mean that people who don't have children work every day? Or does it mean that the children work too? I guess we'll see.
Everyone else flips a coin, I guess. On whether they work. Oh, okay, I think it's like whether
on
they
what
work
day they have
Saturday
off.
or what, yeah. All these people. Yep, I was right! All these people for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. What could they possibly be doing? Making work for themselves. You can be very cynical, can't you? Yeah, I'm terrible. But that guy over there's been jiggling his cursor for the last 20 seconds. That sounds like it could be implying something else.
No, jiggling your cursor is what
I
people who
know.
work remotely do so that the systems think that they're still doing stuff.
I know, but it also, without that context,
Okay.
it sounds dirty.
Get your mind out the gutter.
No. It's comfy down here. Whoever comes
You're gonna grow mold.
penicillin.
Okay, fine.
I do want a mold pet. I'm not gonna lie. I was told no
Get
by my
out.
mother, though.
Okay, I'm gonna mute. I will probably stay muted for a while because once I'm done cleaning up my room real quick, I have to, I'm gonna get driven to my mom's house, so no speaking then.
Okay.
But I'll unmute eventually.
Also, I need to point
It'll
out.
just be a long time.
So Tara also wants a mold pet. You
I
get it.
saw.
Good.
I mean, okay, mold pets are kind of cool, but I just, in the context of after that, was what made me say,
Okay. Mold and bugs. But don't get the bugs sick from mold. Whoever comes to greet us better have a pulse and some goddamn authority. My mood's starting to sour, and if they just send me the first link in their infinite chain of corporate bureaucracy, I'd make them wish. Morgan? Who is this? They look very similar to London. Or in the hair color at least. And like, roughly. That's me. What voice to give this guy? Hey there, Android Manufacturing Quality Control, Eastern Division. Evan Dawes. Evan Dawes, he says, like it's an afterthought. August 1st. That's my name. Chief Supervisor, Android Manufacturing Quality Control. Likes hammocks, calligraphy, and pale ale. Dislikes first dates, conference calls, and 5 o'clock shadow. Proud of his practiced handshake. Struggles with solving captchas. Hair starting to gray. What's a name compared to your place in the hierarchy? You seem familiar. Have you? I'm David's lawyer. Oh, then we must have... Apologies. Let me first just say how sorry I am about his passing. You and everyone else at the company must be going through a lot right now. As if it's a proper noun. Thank you for taking time to meet with me. You're welcome, but it's no big deal. Everyone's on the razor today, but what else is new? And compared to PR or legal right now, our workloads in QA are... Never mind. How can I assist you? Shortly before his passing, Dr. Asher began the process of registering this android. Yes, that's correct. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish the job. Look at that. It's definitely custom. Gee, you think? Good thing I sought out an expert. Warm. It goes without saying. Reminds me of the A16 Premier, if anything. The barcode is clearly printed, no visible defects. But you're right, it doesn't correspond to anything we've got on file. Well, they sent you the right man for the job. Now we just need to go to the right place. Not far, I hope. It's in the building. In the building. That could mean anything from down the hall to half a day's hike. The production line on B9 should have everything we need. You do manufacturing inside your corporate headquarters? B9's a fully functional production floor, but it was only built for demonstrative purposes. New clients make deals upstairs about how many and what shape or size, and they come down to the basement to see how the sausage is made. They have enough money to build a fake factory just for guests. Smart. So long as you're only giving tours and not giving away company secrets, no need to worry about that. We take intellectual security very seriously around here. No kidding. There are 11 cameras on us at the moment that I can see, and who knows how many pairs of modded eyes are aimed our way. Clearly nothing happens here without the almighty company knowing about it. So if they try to claim ignorance about anything, it's gonna piss me off. Lead the way. Electronics, Northeastern Headquarters. Basement floor 9. How many basement floors do you have? It really is fully furnished down here. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's pretty rare to get to see this all in person, you know? Do you mind terribly if I looked around for a moment? No problem. I got some prelim paperwork I need to handle anyway, so have at it. I better take full advantage. I'll need more than cursory knowledge if I want to figure out where Sarah came from and why David wanted me to take custody. I'm gonna look around. You stay put in the meantime. Adonai? Wouldn't want to lose you among the rest of the merchandise. What's this? An inhaler left out on the desk, probably half a dozen empty ones in one of the drawers. Dawes, the inhalers, they're distributed by the company, correct? Oh, yeah, HR handles it. They personalize your dosage and prescription and update it based on performance and job fulfillment reviews. Other corporations do it the same way? Yeah, pretty much. Everyone's trying to keep pace with each other, so can't have your employees losing focus on the job. Could cost you who knows how much lost in efficiency. Sorry if this is insensitive, but given what happened to David, are overdoses common in the company? Yeah. Yeah, he says. Overdoses, that is, non-hospitalizations or deaths. It's all pretty organized these days. These days? And back when I started in consulting, pretty much everyone had an embarrassing story from their first 2 years where they popped a few too many greens and missed the on-ramp. Popped greens? Yeah, used to be pills. Greens to get you going, yellow to keep you there, swallow red after brushing your teeth, and getting into your bunk fast. And get into your bunk fast. This is... I don't like this. I don't like how the company distributes medicine just to make you as efficient as possible. That's really gross. But yeah, the inhalers are a huge improvement. Like going from torches to light bulbs. The light bulb, they sync straight to your personal biomes and adjust the dosage in real time. Overdoses are way down. That's great to hear. The trainees under me don't realize how good they've got it. Kids probably won't even have to learn how to purge. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I assumed that was what it was, but I'm gonna check anyways. Let's watch what's being built out there. Our top of the line. I need to move my mouse! I'm fine. That was a normal reaction. Our top of the line, brand new bestsellers, the Animate 16. Warm. Looks kinda cold out there. Are you sure it's warm? Haha. We kept the factory floor refrigerated. Slows the organics already tuned metabolic, there we go, activity to a minimum. That explains why the room doesn't smell like rotting flesh. The flesh out there is only somewhat rotting. Slowly. I just meant I'm surprised to see metal. Oh, well, all the A16s have alloy endoskeletons. The organics are layered on later in the process. Sounds like what Sarah told me about herself. Maybe she really was the A16's prototype. But it's hard to imagine bridging the gap between her and these scattered doll parts. I get that you can grow just about anything from lax Gemini, but how do you get the synthetic and organic to work together? Yeah, that was our first concern when R&D began work on the worm concept. The 1.0s were real skin with synthetic muscle, and it was a horror show. Metal pulling on skin was just right. For 2.0, they worked backwards, organic muscles, organic skin, but digital signals on organic hardware was a dead end. Didn't the muscles flex when you passed an electric current through them? They'd flex and unflex, sure, but that's not nearly precise enough for facial expressions. It looked like puppets strung up on live wires. We used the test footage to haze interns, actually. You must have figured something out. The A-16s wouldn't look out of place on the runway. Thank you. We try. We ended up reaching out to mod companies. Well, we actually just bought out a half dozen of them, but right. They figured out how to get human nervous systems moving mechanical limbs decades ago. So we just needed to get a mechanical nervous system to move living limbs. Very clumsy attempt at avoiding the word human. High precision mods are slotted straight into the nervous system. They receive their input from neurotransmitters, not bioelectricity. So you had to do the opposite. Exactly. We created a synthetic neurotransmitter that our androids could use to communicate with organic flesh. Where did that breakthrough come from, Dr. Asher? Partly, he led the team that built the motor neurons in this analogy. They carry commands from the central nervous OS to individual muscles across the chassis. But the synthetic analog serotonin, that was actually an old brainchild from the VP of Android Futures, Helen Jung. Jung, hadn't David mentioned Dr. Jung before? Sounds impressive. She's one hell of a biochemist. Or she was, I guess. Not much time for individual lab work when you get to her kind of pay grade. So, Jung collaborated with David on the technology that enabled warm androids. As I thought, whatever went into Sarah that makes the android so distant, he couldn't have taken sole credit for. Jung, did he partner with her on this? Oh, there's quite a few things to look at. This seems to share some components with that coffin Sarah was snapping in. If DOS does quality assurance, is it some kind of Android calibration device? It's probably what it'll use to register Sarah. Looks a little... Is Sarah tall enough for it to recognize her? There's something out there that caught my eye when we came in. A very familiar shade of crimson. I squint through the glass out on the floor to our temperature-controlled fluid tanks. Through glass and plastic flows, an eye-catching scarlet that transitions into... So you add the blood towards the end. You mean the oxidant? Yeah. Relatively late in the process. Something out of place. Androids have blood, even if it's not officially labeled as such. But it isn't red, it's pink. Sometimes milky, sometimes neon, occasionally garish, but pink. didn't think the accident would be red. Oh, right, sorry. I barely noticed it at this point. The color's natural, comes from the biomanufacturing process. The chromofuge out there removes the byproducts, the waste, the excess pigment, changing from blood red to psychopop pink. Without that chromofuge, our android's flesh would come out looking all the wrong colors. That may be true. It probably isn't, but it may be. But I have a simpler explanation. Blood is primal. The sight of it carries weight. They change the color of their product's blood so that when an android gets a bottle broken against its face, no one bats an eye. Feels like I've seen this before. That's right, there's one in David's lab. That's the nanograde elementary manufacturer, for short. Real high quality piece of machinery, each of them built in-house by Randock Mechanics. What does it do? Level flash fab. Basically a 3D printer for nano machines. You build nano machines in your factories for use in your androids. The raw materials are cheap, literally elementary, so no sense in getting them shipped in. It's mostly the medical models that make use of them. Inject a couple thousand nanites into a patient's bloodstream, run diagnostics, and provide a solution. A 3D printer for nanomachines. What kind of ink does it use? Silicone, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon building blocks. They feed the nanoprinter and it assembles the machine. It's particle by particle. Like a ribosome building structurally complex proteins out of chemically simple nucleic acids. Nerd! She's a nerd. Imagine just like pulling that out, just randomly being like, ah, yes, it's just like the ribosome in DNA. Man. Must be time consuming. You'd think, but Randock cracked the code on parallel microfacturing. The inside's crystalline, sprawling like an ant's nest. Raw materials enter at one of the thousands of different entry points, combining and recombining at intersections. The finished product ends up at the center and drips out in a liquid solution. Distilled nectar swimming with millions of nanites in just 2 minutes. Nectar, it's sticky. It can be depending on the desired output, but the door vacuum seals while it's cooking, so don't worry. It's completely spill-proof. What a relief. Not exactly a box of paper clips David could just have brought home from the office one day. He must have bought his own for some reason. A flash fabrication, utilizes parallel nesting and buildings. Okay. There's the thing I'm missing. What we've got on this data pad, some kind of write-up on the subject of Sullivan's Peak. Automated dependents that assist us in nearly every industry on the planet. It's a thought experiment. Much of our world's economy is heavily influenced by the uncanny valley. The thought experiment provides a simple and easy applied explanation for the gaps we see in the otherwise wide spectrum of automated dependents that assist us. Primal truth to it. We like things that resemble the living, like cartoons and puppets and toys. And we like things that are damn near indistinguishable from the living, like whatever name Noble's latest products are being sold under. But there's a deep, deep trenches between those two ends where products are universally appalling to the human sensibility. The Uncanny Valley will no doubt remain a useful tool for teaching, marketing, and design for generations to come, blah blah blah. The space between nearly indistinguishable and truly indistinguishable is much wider than we ever suspected. It may not be the only part of the map that we must fear. Concept which has been called Sullivan's Peak. Sullivan demonstrated the Uncanny Valley does in fact have its own peak on the other side, a point past which making an artificial existence any more human in its features serves only to make the user experience more uncomfortable, more difficult, and more fraught with moral pitfalls. We will very soon reach to a point at which designers of ads can only make their creations less lifelike or less likeable. Hard stopping point for technological process. Oh, looks like you forgot to sign in. Okay, so it's just, okay. Surprised to find reading material like that around here. Were they passing it around as a gag, or are they actually afraid of Sullivan's Peak around here? Noble must be wary of it. I think it was... Oh no, there we go. I thought I got it wrong and they were being dismissive, but no, I got the poker chips. Entire product line, maybe their entire industry could go bottoms up if people started to think it's cruel. If there is any indication of where their androids are headed, I could see some people getting uncomfortable. All done. You ready to get the ad handled? Thanks for humoring me. Can you have it step on into the scanner? As he says. Understood. Right, then. What are we looking at here? Whoa. There's a lot to unpack here. We theorized that it may have been Asher's pincushion. A pincushion, huh? That would explain some of what I'm reading. What language is that on the screen? You know, Tesseract. All Noble products and, well, pretty much all products, period, are programmed in Tess. Easy to read and write. Stay compliant. Now this model, what's it go by? Sarah. This Sarah model. It's got everything the 16th line has, that's for sure. Organic skin, hybrid muscles, advanced facial processing and emoting. Oh, what's happening in this? Oh, someone just sent me Old Man Yowie. Awesome. Who is it? Oh, it's from the Sonic movie. Amazing. My favorite Old Man Yowie is from the Magnus archives. I love Peter Lucas and Elias. They're two old men and they're really bad for each other, actually. It's toxic Old Man Yuri. It like combine. Not Yuri. Yowie. I had. This is like the second time in 2 days I said the wrong one on accident. It's okay. Advanced facial processing and emoting. But there's a lot crammed in here that's still in development. Like in the idea phases. What is that? My friends are weird, man. Solar cell hair strands, decentralized redundant power, mental and physical overclocking with extending tolerances. Data storage so large I can't. Oh wow, he had to measure it using hell of a poker face. Wait, decryption and signal hijacking? That's hacking? Essentially. Does that mean it could hack its own tenants? Oh, no, that's unthinkable. 1 second. Oh no, that's unthinkable. Literally, for an ad to break its tenants would be like you stepping into traffic or dropping a baby. Dropping a baby? Is that a reference? Is that a reference to a specific musical where a man drops a baby from a wall? Crazy. Old man toxic Yuri. Yeah. Or dropping a baby. Even if you're physically capable of it, it's not something you would ever choose to do. Some people do walk into traffic. Psychotics, addicts, the mentally ill. Does that mean that there are androids? Well, no, there aren't crazy androids. So yeah, I guess my analogy doesn't hold up. That's okay. So it can't hack itself, but it was given the ability to hack other systems. Industry line is that such a capability could be an option in certain emergency scenarios. Breaking through the firewalls and encryption of surrounding electronics and to broadcast directly to police or military channels. Speaking of military, this musculoskeleton setup is drastic. I've never seen this on a customer, not a consumer model. Can you lift a car or something, Sarah? Most cars, it would depend on the center of gravity. Lady, this Sarah could wrestle a public disturbance walker and come out on top. Those stomping behemoths they bring out for riot suppression. And in terms of computational ability, the estimate says that can't be right. Look, DAWs. I was actually hoping you could tell me something about the software or the metadata, who worked on it and when. Right, okay. Well, that's unfortunate. The editing logs have been purged. That doesn't sound very above the board. Sorry, I can't tell you anything about who worked on Sarah or when. Any chance you can restore those logs? Not here, not with this machine. I'd need the computers that were actually used for programming this model. Any ideas on where those would be? Sarah? I cannot answer that question with any accuracy. Had a feeling you might say that. Ads, right? Sorry, I can tell you that the code is unique. There's hints of the A16 in there, a few of the same conclusions. It's just Dr. Asher, whoever took very different paths to get there. So Sarah has even less in common with every other android on the inside. Sorry, didn't expect to hit a dead end here. You've been very helpful. Can we still get the registration done? Yeah, no problem. We've just got the software and forms all set up here. Occasionally we let new business partners bring one home fresh from the oven, you know? Oven? Gross. Alright, a few basic questions then. Who's going to be the official owner of this unit? She is. As it says, unless the will disagrees, it's my responsibility. Right then. You fine with the designation Sarah? We can set it to anything you like. Well, actually... Never mind. Sarah will do fine. Okay, this part's all standard. Civilian mode, address, contact info I can get from your crumbs. Do you want to reset to factory defaults? Could clear up a lot of quirks. No! Not right now. The last thing then is the grading. I'm reading 23 tenants here, nothing too far out of the ordinary. 23? That's higher than I expected, talking with it. She seemed more malleable than that. Don't blame yourself. Guessing tenant count from outward appearances has become a crapshoot. Not like it used to be. Used to be they only had 3 tenants total and every unit had to have them. Then came the first accidents and the first lawsuits, then the hearings and the legislature, and the demand for more tenants. A tenant making sure ads couldn't endanger the state, a tenant stating that ads wouldn't divulge private information without prior consent. There was a campaign calling for a tenant to weigh child and adult lives equally during risk assessment. There's a campaign calling for a tenant to do the opposite. Companies wanted their asses covered, customers wanted guarantees. There's never much incentive to deny a request tenant, so the list just ballooned until the military entered the market in full force. You sound like you don't approve. I wouldn't go that far. They needed their ads to be able to pull the trigger when ordered to, without clearing 5,000 lines of bloated, hard-coded decision points to get there. I get that. But since the armies are the only ones using tech with bare minimum tenants, all the best, least cluttered, most elegant code is only used for war games. That's not very romantic. Well, was on the jury. Department of Advanced Defense Projects v. Zenith Dynamics. The Supreme Court sided with the military's request and set up new precedent that every other army in the world would race to meet, changing tenants from a mandated list at the root of every ad source code to a choose-your-own checklist. It's funny, ads with most tenants, they're so locked up you can't even have a conversation with them. And outside the armed forces, the only ads with single-digit tenants are ones just vacuuming floors. The most impressive ones, like what you've got here, fell somewhat in the middle. Sorry, went on a tangent there. A late thing left is the evaluation. What gets evaluated? Total financial worth for insurance purposes. Yeah, the insurance companies made sure we had very accurate algorithms for this. No room for human error, they insisted, with no sense of irony. Wow. I mean, I knew it was custom, but what price could they have possibly... That's a lot of digits. You should know these formula are pretty conservative with their estimates. Stingy, even. If Sarah's really David's last and greatest work, they say some things are priceless, but when you force an insurance algorithm to pick a number, try not to get any scratches on it, I guess. You spoke differently back there. With Dawes, you spoke like he did, it seems. Like I copied his accent. You seem to mirror his affect, his tone. It's called being friendly. What's your point? It was just an observation. You can choose to keep those to yourself, you know. No tenant required. Why were you so concerned about registering me in the first place, Adonai? For the same reason... You have no clue what... Well, I don't know when that was sent. Was that when I was talking about the reference of a man dropping a baby from a wall? Yeah. It happens. You know, sometimes you just need to. Sometimes a god tells you to, and then you're like, can I raise this child as my own? And then the god's like, no, he'll kill you. And so you gotta kill it while he's a baby, while he's a child. And so you drop him from a wall, and he dies. And then you continue on to the ocean like normal. For the same reason I wouldn't drive around in a car without a license plate. Any cop, or even just a well-placed camera, could have spotted your barcode and seen it wasn't set up with any actual data. And then they would have arrested me, and then they would have thrown me in the slammer? No, they would have arrested me and put you in an evidence locker. An android can't get arrested. People get arrested. Property gets seized. And then smashed. Yeah, you wouldn't get put in the slammer, you get put in the smasher. Smasher, I'm sorry. Maybe I'll end stream on that. I should not be given stream privileges. Great, you put us over the weight limit. I did no such... Morgan Counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors. Who's asking? Vice President of Android Features, Helen Jung. Shouldn't have assumed I still had the opening move. Tell her I'll be right up. I'll direct your elevator now. Taking control of your elevator is very convenient, forceful, as if Noble's trying to directly steer your investigation. If Noble wanted Or just let the elevator drop. I love it when companies play judge, jury, and executioner all in one move by just killing the people they don't like. It's very fun. Outline, cool outline. Ooh. Speaking first is a sign of weakness, is it? And here I thought I could avoid wading into the swamp of corporate pretend power dynamics. Let her stew. Silence is only awkward if you care. I can ignore social cues all day long. Yeah! Ooh, blue. Oh, they're pretty. Isabeau earrings. This is like the third character with Isabeau earrings. I'm gonna have to draw it because I drew the other guy with Isabeau earrings. Eugene Finch from Drawtectives. I always liked this time of day, don't you? Not too muggy for you? No, I never liked a clear blue sky. It always seemed cold to me. You're in luck. The sky gets more colorful every year as the air quality drops. Childish, isn't it? Marveling at the small sheen of rainbows bouncing on the surface of a massive oil spill. Apologies for waxing poetic. It's been a very unusual 24 hours around here. Dr. Jung, just Miss is fine. Miss Jung, I get the feeling you didn't bring me up here to talk about the weather. Let's look at this profile. Helen Jung, Vice President of Android Features at Noble Electronics, likes red meat, flower gardens, and high thread counts. Dislikes working from home, shopping online, and waiting. Languages, fluent in 3, enjoys attending baseball games. Hidden talent, getting children to stop crying. I didn't expect either of those two for her. But you know, that's fine. So I've so many things. No, I brought you up here to express my condolences. I'm very sorry for your loss. Thank you, though I could say the same. I know you and David worked together for many years. Yes, we did, but as much as I'd like to just drop everything and process, the company wheels don't stop spinning for anything. Or anyone. Was Dawes of any help? She sent him, trying to be helpful, or just trying to control the narrative? He was great, but that must mean you know why I'm here. I don't want to make assumptions. No need, Albisa. It's close to your birthday. What was her birthday? I didn't look at it clearly. December 9th. What is your birthday again? I'm horrible at birthdays. Hold on. Let me check the birthday channel. Oh, December. Okay. Yeah, that is close. I have a message. Oh, shoot. It's someone's birthday today. And I missed a bunch of messages that I should have definitely read. It's not someone you know. I was invited to something, and I didn't read any of the messages yesterday because I was really too busy with Yuri, and now I don't know what time to meet. Uh-oh. I don't see a time. I also don't know if I'd have a ride because my parents are working. I don't think I'll be able to go. I feel so bad. I am going to send apologies. Oh, I feel so guilty. I don't like it. I feel bad. It's fine. They forgave me. Whatever. No need, I'll be explicit. I'm here as an officer of the court, which means I'm bound by law to document every rock I turn over. And every person I speak to. Yes, the lawyers made that all very clear. Lawyers? You have an android. It's not one of ours. You can tell that quickly. Got all the faces memorized. It's easy enough to remember the major archetypes we use, yes. If you're nuts about your work, maybe. It's a recent acquisition. Very recent, in fact. One of David's last requests, apparently. David asked you to take it. I've been told that you've been to David's estate already. The police gave me full access to the scene. Then you know he wasn't alone last night. Yes, there was a single witness who met with him and called emergency services when he fainted. I was that witness. Nice. I'm glad that we have a name and a face to put with the person now. Really? Oh. Get out of here. Sorry, there's a bot. Obviously. Hello, Sotero. I also realized I didn't fully read that message. I'm like 90% sure that was a bot. Maybe I should have read that message instead of just immediately. I'm pretty sure it was a bot. Hold on, I can just check the mod stuff. Yeah, it was. Okay. Obviously, there aren't that many people David would bother meeting in person, let alone welcoming them into his home and offering them a drink. I also knew that Jung is his superior, on paper, if not in fame. And I knew that the witness had Executive Plan 3 insurance, so they had to be higher up than David. Well then, do your lawyers know we're having this conversation? Of course. They're pulling their hair out about it as we speak. I can't imagine why. The police cleared you. And you were well within your rights to ask for some privacy given the high-profile nature of all that's happened. So why call me up here? Why cut through all the red tape your lawyers painstakingly hid you behind? Eventually, you, or some clever lawyer like you, would get the record open. Through legal means or otherwise. The company's enemies are legion, and they have a prying knife for every occasion. Still, that would have taken time. Time you could use to get ahead of what could be the biggest PR hurdle Noble's ever seen. Touché. And so perhaps the truth of the matter is that I simply didn't want to hide. David was my colleague for several years. If I were in your shoes, I would have questions as well. You're doing this for my sake? No, my reasons are purely selfish. I'm only hoping that talking to someone whose job isn't to defend me from all the consequences might prove therapeutic. If she wants to play confessional, that's fine by me. But is that really all that's going on here? Why don't you start from the beginning then? You went to his home last night? Yes, around 7:30. The building's penumbra captured all that quite clearly. He fell ill around 8 p.m., so you spent half an hour together. Why the late call in person? We had an intense discussion yesterday afternoon. David never came in on Saturdays, and I didn't want to spend the weekend glaring at him through screens, so I visited him, and he let me in, and we talked. About the good old days, if you can believe that. Back when we were both new to the company, eager to make a name for ourselves. How long ago was that? 7 or 8 years ago? Miss Jung. Putting a number on it doesn't sound that long ago, but it feels... We spent a while like that, just talking. He was lively and sharp, and I never would have thought that that a few minutes later, that he would be dead. That he would commit suicide in front of me. A firm reply. What happened? A quarter before 8, he said he wanted to toast. He got up, walked back into his workshop, and then he must have went down to his basement to get us a bottle. I checked some messages in the meantime, enjoyed the view. In other words, she stayed on camera. He came back with a bottle of whiskey and 2 plastic cups. We drank and talked. He got quieter, spoke less. I thought he was just getting drunk. I didn't get worried until he started to fall asleep. You tried to wake him? He wasn't responding. I tried to shake him awake, but he didn't seem... I left him and ran into the kitchen to use the security system. Didn't think to use your phone? No, I suppose I didn't. But it worked out. The Penumbra's emergency protocol summoned a VTOL straight to his helipad with 1 button press. When I returned to the parlor, he was limp. I moved him to the floor as delicately as I could. He had a heartbeat, but I just did what I could until they arrived. You went with them to the hospital, I take it? Yes, they insisted. They checked my vitals and ran a tox screen, which came back clean. So did David's, for all the good it did him. I wasn't paying close attention to what they were saying at that point. But I'm sure they ran through every step of the CCE SOP. That's what they're paid to do. You seem certain it was suicide. Yes. Why? As I said, he got quieter as time passed and he spoke less. But the last thing he said to me, the last clear thing he said, was that he was happy ending it here, and he said he was content. And he downed his glass after that. He drank every last drop. Does that sound like David Asher to you? Curious, restless, perfectionist David? No, I guess it doesn't. I like the clicky clacks. They're very good. CCE. You said CCE, Standard Operating Procedure, a moment ago. What is that? CCE stands for Counter Corporate Espionage, which is just industry doublespeak for corporate espionage. Only used in self-defense, you understand. So, Noble anticipates employees at your level getting poisoned. They give us all kinds of CCE training. Subtly, of course, usually disguised as on the itinerary as leadership workshops or psychiatric evaluations. They train you to expect to get murdered at these leadership workshops. Murder is fairly rare at our level. More likely, they'll want us too sick to work. Let us drain company research sources in a hospital bed while our position sits vacant. That's smart. Like snipers purposefully avoiding vital areas to drain the enemy's medical resources. That's terrible. Like snipers purposely avoiding vital areas in order to strain enemy's medical resources. That's nothing compared to when they want to turn an asset. Feel ill the rest of your life with an undiagnosable malady, or become our mole and we'll send you to the antidote every 2 weeks. That's a nasty piece of work. I think it's a nasty line of work. Consulting. I'm sorry? That's just what they call it. Can't exactly put corporate spy on your CV. So every consultant I've met at a cocktail party was actually... It depends. Did they say they're consultants? Or did they say they were in consulting? How the hell am I supposed to remember? So do your people think that what happened to David was a deliberate attack? Noble's competitors have been trying to get David for years. And that's the time scale their plans operate on. This was an attack from a rival corporation. The company would have seen it coming. They'd probably have struck first. The cups. I've been curious about this ever since I saw the scene. Why the plastic cups? There's a story there. David and I got hired around the same time under similar circumstances. Headhunted while finishing our higher education. During recruitment, the company claimed to want us badly, but in practice, our actual authority was inexperienced and overpaid. Must have been extremely unpopular. You don't mince words. We didn't either back then. We were loudly trying to convince our superiors that their entire sales model for androids was antiquated and self-defeating. The two of them made the one-point doctrine. That's not the story I've heard in Noble commercials and Noble-sponsored media. And come to think of it, it's not a story I ever heard from David himself. We had this deadline, self-imposed, but still a deadline. We wanted to get our pitch from the president of international sales by end of day. 7 p.m. rolls around and people start filtering out. David still has his head buried in diagrams and sales figures. Imagine a technical man like him, a programmer, trying to make a sales pitch. The clock hits 9 and even the zombies start heading home. I turn to David, tell him that's not going to happen. We're nowhere near finished and the day's long since been over. He looked at me like I'm the only other person in a sinking boat and I just stopped pitching water and he says, "The president lives on the other side of the globe. We've still got all night until his end of day." We wrapped up at 4 in the morning, just us and the cleaning staff. Back then only half of them were ads. He finally sends the message and I'm ready to collapse. I've got nothing. We stared blankly at his inbox for the next 40 minutes, hoping the harsh light would give us some of the energy to work throughout the day. And we got a response. It wasn't long, but it showed he was interested. I'd been turned down so many times before, then ignored, placated, passed up, and ghosted, But together, David and I, we had finally gotten a win. So David asks if I've got anything to drink. I've got a bottle of some swill in a cabinet at my desk, but he doesn't want to drink from the bottle. Says he wants to toast. So we sat there at 5:19 in the morning, toasting awful vodka to one another in cups we grabbed from the break room. Toasting our first victory against the corporate beast. Between the lack of sleep and the drinking, the next day at work was hell. Sounds like a good memory. Plastic cups and liquor, that was our little ritual. So I didn't think twice when he presented me with my cup. It was ceremony for us. Water. Drink water. Go drink water, guys. I'm responsible and I'm telling you to. Don't use my prior lack of drinking as drinking water in a healthy way as it's Friday. I have D&D today. Oh, I'm so excited. I forgot. As VP of Android Futures, you're David Superior, aren't you? That's correct. Didn't you join the company at around the same time? Those are sentences. David was always more interested in his work than he was in climbing the ladder. He didn't like playing the corporate politics game. So, was he unpopular around here? Not unpopular, no. Not the great David Asher. Misunderstood, perhaps. How so? He could be blunt, demanding some might say. He wasn't trying to be, it just not everyone could work at the same pace as he did, for as long as he did. Even with the whole company huffing those inhalers, they couldn't keep pace with David. Speaking of which, I don't see any at Jung's desk. Maybe it's just not something you leave out in the open at her level. So would you say that his work-life balance was... Balance implies the two are at odds with one another. We use work-life harmony here at the company. Fascinating. So was he in harmony? No. David always had plenty of suitors, but he was never willing to put the time in. But I'm sure you're more knowledgeable than I am on the subject. Right. What do you mean? I had to help him draft a lot of apology notes over the years for misunderstandings and double bookings. Scandalous. Animate 16! The AI-16 only enters production this year, correct? Correct. Pre-orders started last holiday and we began shipping in the first quarter. I understand that you were instrumental in the process of warm androids. I played my part of supervising the launch, yes. Weren't you the one who designed Cinetonin, the factory that enabled communication between synthetic and organic parts? I'm surprised you've heard of that. I did lead that project, yes, but that was years ago. At the time, Cinetonin was a little more than a novelty. A dead end. It wasn't until David took the reins on the AI-6 and the A-16 that we found a use for it. I'm good at words, I promise you. Took the reins. He was the lead programmer on limb coordination, facial expression, exhaustion parameters. And he designed the synthetic nerves that made all of that possible. David did all that. That's a lot more than just programming. Was he always so gifted in that many fields? Did he fill those roles on the A14 or A15? No. He used to stick steadfast to his role as software architect. That was his field of expertise, and he didn't wander far. But 2 or 3 years back, he started sitting in on other departments, taking notes. Soon he was joining the discussion, proposing new ideas, and eventually they came to follow his lead. Just like that. Just like that. So he just applied himself, and soon he was leading other departments. That's the kind of genius that Dr. David Asher was. Maybe they weren't paying him enough. The company profited the most, of course, but the industry benefited from his vision and leadership. His loss will be felt for years. So, this android, Sarah. Even Dawes couldn't find any real details on where it came from. It's not in any of our systems. I'm afraid not. Did David ever talk to you or anyone else at the company about a pet project? Pet? No, he never gave me any indication like that, and if he didn't talk to me about it, I seriously doubt he confided in anyone else at the company. David didn't trust anyone higher than on the chain than himself, and anyone below him. Frankly, they couldn't possibly hope to give him advice. He never mentioned me? No, never. Androids don't come cheap. You never heard about him requisitioning parts or resources? There were never any discrepancies with his company credit card? Okay, I'm gonna finish this conversation, then I have to take my dog outside. The company's accountants are mirthless, even by industry standards. They wouldn't humor anybody, not even David Asher. If they had ever detected financial discrepancies, there would have been an uproar loud enough you could hear it in the mailroom. They're robots. Hold on, let me pull up Sarah. Sarah, she's an android. Androids, and she's specifically a worm android, quote unquote, which is basically robots that have some, like, organic parts to them. Like, she can bleed, and it's kind of freaky, and I don't like that. Yeah. It's great. I have so many. Yeah. Well, it's not actual blood. It is fake blood, but it's still freaky. However, it's real enough that they did a transfusion with the robot blood into a soldier that was dying, and the soldier lived. So it's fake but real and horrible, and I kind of hate it, honestly. If they had ever detected financial discrepancies, there would have been an uproar. I don't know if you could hear it in the mailroom. You have a mailroom? Not since the 30s, just a figure of speech. He couldn't have taken resources from the company without leaving a record, but no one would deny Dr. David Asher information. He would have been able to obtain all the necessary data to build his own android, and with enough time and money, he could privately purchase the raw materials himself. I don't understand. It must have taken me years to build Sarah. He wasn't doing anything illegal, except the hacking stuff. So why keep it secret? I don't know. But he was private and a perfectionist. Perhaps simply he wasn't proud of his result. You shut up. I don't like you. Could be. Well, thank you for the time to talk to me. I'm sure this has been a difficult day for you. A difficult day for us all. Fran! Okay, I have to take my dog out. I'll be back in probably like 5 or so minutes. I need to make a be back soon screen, because I do have to just up and leave stream like quite a lot. And also I'm well aware that even if you guys like enter the screen when I'm stream while I'm not there, you will just leave. You guys will just leave. But yeah. I'll be back. Boo, I'm back. I can mod you. um... Let's see. How do I do that again? Do I have to be on a... Hold on. Oh, I didn't mean to open YouTube. I meant to open Twitch on my computer again. There we go. You are now a mod. You're welcome. Message from Fran. I'm running out of leads to chase. The brat better have good news. Are you really going to take this to court? That's my plan. The circumstances may be irregular, but I'm still defending a client from a criminal charge. It's my responsibility to argue that he's not guilty of what he's been accused of. And is that what you believe? That he didn't commit suicide? I guess I haven't decided what I believe. Would you kindly slow the hell down? I'm sorry, Adonai. Was I walking too quickly for you? That wasn't walking. That was speed walking. Up 2 flights of stairs. It's very different. Speed walking? Sounds like a powerful technique. Is it like the Shen Jiao? Just let me catch my breath for a minute. Adonai, is it possible that you are out of shape? No. She's wearing a corset. Cut her some slack. I also would not be able to run up 2 flights of stairs in a corset. Are you insane? And we do love Franbo. Franbo's very good. But since we left the cab, your heart rate has... I'm not wearing the right clothes. Or the right shoes. Is that so? Yes. Also, I didn't stretch or hydrate, and the sun's reaching its zenith. Okay, now you're making it sound like you're a nerd who's just making excuses now. Early, if you had just gone with like corset being tight, but now you're just being like, where would she switch clothes right now? And also, I think this is like her like lawyer outfit she likes to wear. I don't think it's technically a dress like uniform, but like it's definitely her work clothes. That would have been several hours ago. Do you mean the air temp? You said it would be a short walk from street level, so I prepared myself mentally for a short walk. Then you took off like a rocket, and you didn't mention we'd have to go upstairs. Are you sure this place is even back here? The reviews online were quite clear. It's worth the trouble finding it. Maybe if you're a mountain climber. When I sent Fran hunting for a musician in David's circles, I expected them to bring me someone from the city orchestra or jazz club. The champagne, flute, and teacup kind of musician. But this is the tequila and neon part of town. It should be in view if we turn. Adonai, be careful. Of what? It's a stray, and it's bearing its fangs too. It could be carrying diseases. You should relax. Adonai, it's growling. It's not growling at me. See? So it's just me that it doesn't like. Too much static. How do you get it to calm down? It's an animal, not a monster. It wants to be calm. Do you like animals? What kind of cold-blooded freak doesn't like animals? Real? Like, I understand murdering people, but not liking animals? It is carrying the plague! Maybe it's a mouse and not a dog. Do you have a pet? No, never have. Why not? Because I don't want to take care of a pet. That seems counterintuitive to me. Well, it makes perfect sense to me, and I don't need it to make sense to you. But you notice you're the only thing talkative. You're only this talkative when it's just the two of us. Just an observation. You shy or something? Did David program you to have android anxiety? It's generally only appropriate to respond to comments that are addressed to oneself. I've rarely been addressed directly by people other than you. Android anxiety is very funny. Imagine making a robot and then purposefully giving it anxiety. Maybe that would prevent like a robot takeover. Just give them all anxiety. Maybe it's not that bad of an idea. Okay. Other than you. In other words, you're shy. That's not what I... Can I try petting it? There's no law against it. I love the character designs in this game. They're all so... I need to put them in a hydraulic press. I need to put them all in a hydraulic press and then just squish them. That's how good their designs are. This is the establishment. Now to see if Isaac Porter is as habitual as Fran claims. Do you think Father was close with this man? This man who you've never met? I think he was close to him, yeah, at some point. I had some help making that deduction. Fran saw their metadata showed a significant cooling of interaction between the two of them, particularly over the past month. Fran also saw a phone call between the two last night, so they were close. Do you think they were sleeping together? That is completely inappropriate for me or anyone to speculate about. Inappropriate. Adonai, it's only I'm getting very important text messages from my private investigator. Excuse me. Imagine creating a robot and then the robot being like, you're the person who created me. You're this random musician that they've interacted with. Did they ever fuck? That's wild. Did you catch the killer yet? No. What the hell? I sent you his position. I'm at his position. I haven't spoken to Porter yet. Anyway, there's no reason to suspect him right now. Lame. Surprised you're invested all of a sudden. Isn't David Asher a corporate sellout in your eyes? Everyone's a corporate sellout. But Asher gets respect. If I'm a demolitions expert, he's like a really good architect. That's almost sweet, I think. Asher started out working in a cube. So the architect analogy, by today's standards, he's like, I don't know. as a kid he built all his bricks by hand or something. You know that lit homework can help you with forming analogies. Eat this analogy. Did that come through or did the characters break? It's supposed to be a guy giving you the finger. I take it cube is a programming language. What's special about it? Pretty much anything coded in the last 20 years is web-based. You code with the assumption that you'll always be connected. So you can depend on having fat libraries of references to lean on. And if something does go wrong, your errors get reported to you automatically. But not Cube. You can look it up. Google's free, you know. But basically, Cube was originally for robotics and, like, machinery. Stuff that had to operate in mines, under the ocean, middle of nowhere fields with zero service signal surface. So Cube has to be self-sufficient. How rugged. Where Asher learned Cube anyway, it's older than dirt. From like the 40s. I don't know. I think his father had a machine shop or something. Vague. Yeah, well, David didn't like to talk about his family, and I never asked. What did your private investigator have to say, Adonai? Not telling. Well, there's a person to talk to, but I'm gonna look at everything else first. A bar stocked full of colorful selections and busy bartenders. I hope this isn't some kind of club you can order food. I hope this isn't some kind of club you can order food in. Only time bar food is any good when you're drunk enough to forget taste and the gap between chewing and swallowing. So you can, like, eat things? Yes, I can. What, like Android food? There's no such product. So what do androids eat? Online user guides for Noble's warm models clarify that they don't eat anything in the traditional sense. They get their energy from electrical charging, usually wireless. Whenever they need to eat, it's to replenish specific vitamins and electrolytes. Sounds like a lot what mod users go through with their sports drink and energy bars. And charger separation anxiety. According to the net, warm androids can ingest nutrient-rich processed carbohydrate pellets if they need to forego electrical charging long-term. Processed pellets? You mean like kibble? Like dog food? No, it's not like dog food at all. Can you buy it from the pet store? It seems that you can. How is this something you have to look up anyway? Because I've always just eaten whatever father gave me. Like what? Marbled beef, never hydroponic avocados, foie gras, that sort of thing. I'm not paying for any of that. I don't make that kind of money. What is Cube is the code? Yeah. And then the stage for the talent pretty close to the floor. Guess it fits with the whole round table aspect of this place. Everyone's on more or less equal footing, dancing in the dark once you get past the bouncer. Do you think they might have met here? David and Porter. I can't see David walking in here. Because you found the walk so challenging. Because it's too loud to relax and not dark enough to be anonymous. I see. What's that face? You got an opinion to share? Dog food. The atmosphere's not bad in here, but the music isn't quite. I'll find you a survey to fill out before we leave. What kind of music does an android even like? Early 21st century punk rock. Is that just you, or does that go for all androids? I haven't met all androids, I can't speak for them. Wonder what they'd say. If they're smart, they'd say the music peaked with early 21st century punk rock. Debate settled. That one, over there, he matches the photo Fran sent me. Should I approach him now or look around somewhere? Oh, that makes me think that I missed something. Did I miss something? I did. What kind of reading material gets left out in a club? A tabloid interview? Exclusive sit down with the luxury. The most beautiful woman in the world. Perhaps the only truly unanimous vote the net ever seen. A pseudonym. Who is the person who's being interviewed? Why the name? It's like an ego thing. A pseudonym to give me a little shade from all the attention. Setting the stock market into a spin. Certainly influential. After partnering with you until NT saw a 3,000% increase in share price. It's a pain sometimes like this. No visible branding. Can't wear anyone unless I'm attending something. If I don't dress like this, all my sponsors fall into bidding wars every time I leave the house. Skin, flawless skin. So not dressed. It doesn't say her name. It doesn't say their name anywhere. Okay. Well, however old she is or isn't, Luxury's got one hell of a mind for business. Might do her more good than that face in the end. Maybe it's one hell of a face. In the meantime, she's powerful. Some rises are too my brain is not wording that word at all. Meteoric. For even the Megs to grab the reins on. At this point, Luxury's got them at her mercy. She can send their stocks into disarray with one selfie. Good for her. They look cool. Okay, yeah, that's him alright. Looks like he's killing time before his sets tonight. Are you unsure how to proceed, Adonai? I'm sure that you need to hang back. As for me, all mediocre. Was that? Sometimes when I'm reading, my brain forgets to try to make words be actual words. And then it just tries to sound them out, because elementary school completely, messed me up in that regard. In trying to sound out words, and then being wrong all the time, because words don't work like that, 50% of the time. Was is it really mediocre? Was I just being dumb? No, it was not that's not mediocre. That's not how you spell that word. Meteoric. This is how you spell mediocre. Bleh. Mediocre. Meteoric. I was like, that could not have. Yeah, I was like, that was not mediocre unless I'm like gotten significantly worse at reading ever since last time I checked. Do we play it cool or play it like straightforward? She feels more of a like a straightforward girl, but also like playing it cool could definitely lead to more like him being chill. It's okay. Huzzah! Play it play it cool with this guy, or like play it straightforward. Okay, I'll play it straight. I don't know if he looks straight. Isaac Porter. What's up? My name's Morgan. I was David's friend. Right now I'm his lawyer. Can we talk? Depends. Were you a friend from work? No. Over here. Thanks, Isaac. Don't thank me yet. I might just sit here, shut my mouth, and stick you with my tab. So what kind of lawyer are you? What kind of friend? I'm his defense attorney. Think you missed the bus on that then, yeah? And I'm a friend that needs to know what happened yesterday. Doesn't everyone? Try somewhere else. Friendly lawyer. I haven't seen him in weeks. You might not have seen him, but we both know that you spoke with him over the phone yesterday. Only a short time before you died. How the hell? Isaac. It's pretty obvious you don't want this particular spotlight to linger on you any longer than necessary, so why don't we cut to the chase? No lies, no playing coy. Fine. Sarah? Yes, Adonai? The hell? Is that thing transmitting? I'm not streaming any data, no. Porter doesn't seem to recognize Sarah either. One more person David was keeping secrets from. I need to record everything for the court. Fine. You two were together, is that correct? We were together. I ended it. Yesterday. Oh. Sarah, you were right, they were. Care to elaborate on our entire relationship? Look, you can tell me everything once, and I can get it on record. Or you can hear the same questions over and over again from 1,000 different cops and Megs for the next 3 months. We met in a bar. I'd seen him come in a few times, each time with someone else, each time talking with his mouth but not looking with his eyes. It ticked me off, scribbling on napkins, letting his single gin and tonic sweat onto the table for 2 hours. His dates would all go to the bathroom or take a call and slip out the back. One of them didn't make it 10 minutes, and he'd sit there the rest of the night unfazed. Couldn't tell if he was oblivious or stupid or shameless or the most confident man in the world. And he ticked me off. One night things were slow. My set had been cancelled, and his date hadn't even bothered to think of an excuse before bailing, so I asked him why he insisted on coming there night after night, just to ignore vapid people he wasn't interested in at a shitty bar with drinks he didn't like. And he just said, because I like your music. Man, did that tick me off. It was cute early on, him being so passionate about work I could barely pretend to understand. And I liked that we gave each other space, you know? Felt like we were being mature or whatever. Until there was no until. No one day where everything turned sour. But at some point I started to understand where his priorities were and how I ranked in them. Like I said, he was passionate about his work. I just wrongly assumed he would also be that passionate about me at some point. So I pulled away a little, wanted to see if he'd notice, if he'd miss me. Testing him like that is the biggest red flag in the world. He never budged. I could ignore him for days and he wouldn't be at the least bit ashamed to see me. If I picked a fight, he'd never get angry or upset, he'd just apologize. He didn't want to fight with me. Guess he was never invested enough to bother. It was my mistake. I watched him sit there all those nights, not giving a shit when people walked away, and still I had the stupid idea that somehow, for whatever reason, I would be different. That I would be special. But I wasn't, so I ended it. Last night, I called him. Didn't expect he'd pick up. I'd everything prepared to leave a message with an assistant or an ad or whatever. But he answered. First ring. Without hesitation, shame, or awkwardness. And that ticked me off, so I told him exactly how valued had made me feel the past months. I told him exactly how insignificant I felt as the boyfriend of the illustrious Dr. David Asher. And what did he say? He apologized. And then he asked me if that was all I called to tell him. Oof. I hung up after that, spent the rest of the night wrapped in warm disdain for him and his coldness. He had made that easy for me. I went to sleep hurt but clean, ready for something new. And then this morning I wake up to see that my ex killed himself not 2 hours after he let me walk out of his life with not so much as a don't. What the hell, man? What the hell, David? And now you're just the tip of the iceberg of lawyers and reporters and buzzards. Parasites who want to hear about the man who sent David Asher over the edge. I never wanted to be his last lifeline or the straw that broke his back. I just wanted to be his goddamn boyfriend. Turns out that was asking too much. It's yet to be determined whether David committed suicide. You serious? You don't have all the facts. And you do? Any one of them point to anything else? Thought so. Thanks for your time. I'll let you get back to it. That's it, no summons. The court has no need for you to retell a sad story like that. The court, huh? Sorry to bother you at work. Sarah, let's go. Your discography is very impressive. Yeah, thanks. Your range is remarkable. So, it pained me to see that all your work in the last quarter has been so melancholy. I think... Well, what the hell would you know about any of that? What's the matter? Can't find the words? Need to steal them from somewhere first, butchering them before shitting them back out? I was not trained on any data sets that... Nah, pardon me. My mistake, really. Not your fault. You're only standing here because rich prick nerds were allowed to rob the world blind for most of the century. Sarah, we're leaving. What the hell was that about? He was under the false impression that I was programmed using massive automated learning module and early 21st century. Not that. Why'd you talk to him? I wanted to. I just felt like I should say something to him. A word of advice. People don't want comfort from strangers, especially when they're androids. They want it from people they want it from. Coming from anywhere else, it's just corn syrup on parched tongue. Doesn't matter how sweet it is, they'll just start gagging. You know a lot about people, don't you, Adonai? Compared to you, I'm a goddamn savant. Come on, there's not much time left. Is there still somewhere you want to investigate? Somewhere I need to return to, actually. Porter is right. As things stand, I don't have any evidence that could establish an alternative interpretation of the facts. But if there did exist hard evidence that could prove his death wasn't a suicide, there's only one place I could find it at this point. Noble Employee Housing Building. Penthouse basement. The basement. You sure you don't want to look around at the crime scene? I'm all out of time. Gotta approach this from the other angle. The other angle? You know, inductive versus deductive, flip the chessboard, all that. Haven't you ever read a mystery novel? I've seen mystery films. Well, let's see if you paid any attention then. What killed Dr. Asher? Poison. 10 points. There's a point system? Now how did that poison get into his bloodstream? He must have ingested it orally. And how do we know that? The medical examiner found no injection marks or wounds. And if he had inhaled it? Inhaled it? What? Leave the why to someone else who actually understands them. I won't be able to understand anything if I don't practice. Practice by answering my question. I suppose it's possible, but highly unlikely we would have found a delivery system for it in the building, like an inhaler. Right, an airborne poison is either shoved in your face or sprayed over a wide area, and no one around David has shown any signs of symptoms. So, all that we're left is oral intake. Eliminating the impossible. What's next, Adonai? Jung's I know that word. Corroborated the statement that David didn't exhibit any irregular symptoms or behavior until he started drinking that night. And the police didn't find anything unusual in any of the food or drink in his home. Except for his cup, the results were inconclusive. Jung was drinking from the same bottle and the same type of cup, but did get sick. We have to conclude that David's cup alone was poisoned. That all seems logical and consistent with the police's theory of suicide. So why are we down here? Minus 10 points. Back to 0. David left the parlor and came back with whiskey and 2 cups. Jen told us as much, and apparently the cameras upstairs support her story. So I have to conclude then that he got them both from this bar. Better. 5 points. Did he also get the poison from the cabinet? The police have been in here since we've left. According to their ARCs file, they didn't find anything that matches the poison down here. So the poison somehow went straight into his drinking cup then. I need to flip this around again. If you turn something 360 degrees, you're just back to... If I were the prosecution, what would I want more than anything? Proof that David knowingly added the poison himself. He wouldn't do that. And you can make that claim because there's no video evidence to contradict you. How long was David off camera? From 7:36 to 7:40 p.m. when he left the parlor to get liquor from this bar. So, if we had David on camera for those 4 minutes and he didn't poison himself in that time, he would have a perfect alibi for the crime, proving his innocence. But Adonai, we don't have footage of that. There are no security cameras down here. I think there are. What do you mean? This whole building is coded head to toe in Penumbra security systems, courtesy of Noble. Every console, every corner, every android on every floor, it's all plugged into Penumbra. Except that. That panel is manufactured by Cotter Security Systems. Why would David put a console up for a different security system in the exact one corner of his penthouse? I've never given it much thought. Well, it's been bothering me all day, but my curiosity alone can't scale a 64-digit wall. I mean, signal hijacking or whatever you want to call it. Have you tried it before? It is illegal and unnecessary. Father would not have installed hidden cameras in his own home. At the end of the day, I can't make you do anything. Well, actually, I probably can't now that you're registered to me. But aren't you the one who wanted to prove his innocence? Well, no, I want to check out Porter's... I like his design a lot. Occupation, musician, bassist. Likes itineraries, grilling, champagne. Dislikes resistance training producers and ads. Best at gift giving, worst at folding laundry, and favorite quote is, "I don't do requests." Eliminate the impossible. I will need your express verbal command. Not like David can press charges against us at this point. Do it. Did you really need me to say that? For the purpose of record keeping, yes. If you have gotten past the 64-digit code and I have found cameras, there are a number of them embedded in the room's walls and ceiling. As you theorize, they are on a separate network from the rest of the building. Where are they feeding to, if not the Penumbra system? Behind my hibernation unit. A false wall in the back of a safe? I don't understand. Why would Father possibly have a hidden system of cameras inside his own home? Beats me. He was brilliant and more than a little odd. Throw in a little money and odd becomes eccentric. I see? I think? You don't. The hell was he thinking? What was he afraid of? Why didn't he come to me for... Time's short. Gather facts now and leave the computation for later. Let's inspect these again. What did David do with all this equipment? Dry his laundry? What makes you so sure he wasn't exercising? Did you ever see him use any of this crap? No, but he must have used the weights when I wasn't looking, since he promised me that he'd take better care of his health. Sarah, these weights are all maxed out. David couldn't have put up numbers like these even if he was piloting a frame. Don't be so sure-headed, Pardon? The following is a true story based on primary sources who were present for the event and its aftermath. Copenhagen, 1981, 8:10 a.m. local time. A towering man with the muscle of a world-class professional rugby player enters the global Danke Bank on Frederiksberg Lane. He explains to the bank teller that he has a bomb in his suitcase and he wants his gym bag filled with unmarked bills. A security guard approaches him from behind with a nightstick and swings. The man simply catches the weapon and bends it into a twist and knot in his massive dinner plate-sized hands. When asked to describe the suspect, the police afterwards, the teller only had this to say: "That man was all muscle." The rest of the bank heist proceeded without incident, and the man exits the building just as the police arrive to the scene, when suddenly his suitcase explodes. But it's just a smoke screen. Local officers quickly recognize the ploy and rush towards the door, grabbing each of the hostages as they flee while desperately searching for the perpetrator. What they find instead is a diminutive, frail, sheepish young man, barely 160 centimeters tall, holding a gym bag full of money with no recollection of how he got there. Renowned psychologist in training, hypnotist Dr. Werner Kurtzer wrote the following in his diagnostic. Acute dissociative identity disorder. That's right, the man had a split personality. And so great was the disparity between his two halves that when they switched control, he physically changed, becoming taller, bulkier, and capable of previously unthinkable feats of strength. So be careful what you say a man like father can't do just because of how he looks on the outside. Sarah, every single word you just said was false. Huh? Don't believe everything you read on the net. The liquor cabinet in this mystery hinges on... The liquor cabinet this mystery hinges on. The police have been through it all by now, and they didn't find any foreign contents in any of the sprites. No poison to be found here. Well, not that I think of. Not that kind of poison, anyway. In which case... Can I make you anything? Well, if you're offering, I'll have... Sorry, you're way underage, aren't you? 2 years old or whatever? Technically. Took that one a lot worse than I expected. Cheer up, maybe you'll find a mocktail if you climb to the top of the ladder. This is a rolling ladder, kind of step ladder, not a ladder. What? Remember, a ladder extends, but a step ladder folds out. And? It's important to know the distinction. I'd bet my life savings that this subject will never come up again. Ever. Anything else? What's the story with this anyway? Some kind of fault in the foundation? I don't know, I never noticed that crack before. Might want to get those eyes checked. There's nothing wrong with my vision. This crack just must have been created during my most recent hibernation. How? Did David drop a weight a bunch of times over and over again in the same spot? Okay, I guess we're going to the painting. So is that the original? It was appraised and confirmed to be genuine. At least he didn't get ripped off. I'm a Philistine when it comes to this kind of stuff. What does an android see? I see a meeting. Or perhaps an encounter? Two apex forces of nature. Two kings of the forest. The stag and the tiger. I think. Great, I'm officially less cultured than the robot. Alright, let's refocus here. So there's some kind of hidden door behind your bunk bed, huh? Essentially. Though a bunk bed would imply a second or third. How do we open it? One moment. I see. Got it open already? I cannot open this door. Why? It's a Tethys basic stertiture. That anti-hacked feature in the name is real? It's a closed system, Adonai. The hell am I supposed to do now? Strange. There is an if-then toggle enabled in the security parameters. I don't follow. Father last adjusted the settings here. He made it so that the door would never open so long as I was hibernating. And he made it so I was the only one who could wake her up, meaning this is a door that only I can open? It'll be a 6-character password. Did you and Father have any influential moments in your life that are all revolved around a 6-letter combination? Nothing comes to mind. Is there a code word that he knew only I could learn? Sarah is 5 letters. Sarah 1. If David said the path was weird to something as dumb as that, I'd never forgive him. As you say. No, he would have picked a code whose significance was only obvious after the fact. Because last time it had to do with, like the painting. It was 11/12/58. Might as well try that again. That didn't work either. Perhaps a deep breath would help you refocus, Adonai? It's not like I'm taking a multiple choice test, Sarah. Either I know the answer or I don't. I see. So do you know the answer, Adonai? I'm getting there. Is there anything... anything in here? Or anything with Jung? A sense of humor is unique. This isn't going to be it, but might as well try it. Ugh. I'm not, I can feel it on the tip of my tongue. Or the back of my mind. Or echoing in my ears like a ringing... What, now you climb up? Thought some quiet might help, that's all. I missed... echoing in my ears. Can't quite... I don't know. What am I missing? What if it's porter? No. Do I want a hint? Maybe, because I'm not figuring it out right now. Also, hello. I didn't know that anyone was watching. Sure, yeah. Hint would be nice. Let's see. Look at the log. Let's see. Is there any purple? Purple's usually the color when something's important. This is the second password I've had to enter here. I've already met Sarah, so it's not the one with the date of the painting. Oh, wait. The back of my mind, my ears, I can't quite. Ah! I don't see anything important. Let's see, only a code word that he knew only I could learn. Hold on, is there... Let's see, Sarah. So, 0829 and then 2 years ago. 29 and then it takes place in 86, so it'd be 84. This is probably not it, but no. I think I'm thinking too deep about it. I think I'm overthinking it. Yeah. Picked a code whose significance was only obvious after the fact. Oh. Hold on. There we go. I got it. Oh. It's opening. What was the password, Adonai? You'd never guess. Yeah, I overthink things sometimes, especially when they're more simple. Did feel a bit out of character, David utilizing so much cloak and dagger tech, and I've definitely been struggling with the idea of him doing home improvement. But one step in here, and it all makes sense. It's a panic room. Scary. A panic room is a place for rich people to hide in when people start bouncing bricks off their windows. They're typically not even on blueprints. So when Noble built this penthouse for one of their executives, Someone slipped this into the mix, and it's remained in Noble's blind spot ever since. All David had to do was repurpose it. Make sure you're capturing all of this. I don't want to miss my one chance of a discovery technicality, yeah. I understand, but you needn't specify. My memory's flawless. I can play back visual sounds, sensations. I can even give detailed reports on air particulates. You mean you can smell? Better than any human, and some canines. So, does it smell stale in here to you? Stale? It doesn't to me, almost like someone's been in here recently. Almost like someone visits here frequently. Alright, let's try booting up the computer. You don't think the console is password protected? 2 physical doors, a 64-digit code, a half-ton Android, and a secret phrase. If David sets a password on his PC after all that, I'm going back to the morgue to have a word with him. Good, it's already signed in. You're looking for camera footage? I'd also settle for a note plainly stating that he feared for his life. What am I doing? Here, you search for video files. They'll probably be time-stamped and formatted for short-range devices. I have the subfolder. The cameras stream live data constantly, but the files are clipped at fairly regular intervals. Once every week, it seems. The most recent video file here has footage going back 8 days. It was accessed yesterday around 4 o'clock. You were asleep then, so the only person who could get in here at that time is David himself. Alright, let's see it then. Of course, it's just that I'm having difficulty. Try double-clicking. I've been trying to open the files from the moment I discovered them, hadn't I? But they are encrypted. Damn it, David. You leave me enough clues to get this far, but you won't let me even use your computer. What's the brand on the encryption program? If I rush a subpoena, they might have a backdoor I could bluff them into. These files were not encrypted with any commercially available tool. This appears to be Father's own work. Shit. If David Asher hand-wrote the encryption on these files, there's no one alive who could. Hey, was Dawes just flattering you back there? Or is your processing power really that special? Adonai, can you break his encryption? Yes or no? With enough time. And how much time would that be? I would estimate it at 2 or 6 hours. That's a 4-hour window. No matter how sophisticated, encryption is still a code that must be deciphered. And when deciphering any code, progress proceeds exponentially. Which makes it particularly difficult to determine the amount of time required to complete the process. 2 to 6 hours. I don't have any better options. Get started. I started 4 minutes and 23 seconds ago. Finally showing some initiative. But you've been talking to me this whole time. I have the ability to analyze data in parallel by utilizing subconscious processes so long as the work required is rote. So you're doing it in the back of your head? Actually, I'm speaking to you in the back of my head. I could get the decryption process my full undivided attention, but I would become non-responsive. Hey, that's a pretty nifty feature. I'll have to keep that in mind. Alright, can you take this show on the road, or do we have to rip this computer out of the wall and find a battery? I have copied the encrypted files and we'll work on them as we travel. We can leave whenever you're ready. Still can't believe David let me get this far just to shut the door in my face at the last second. But he did let me get this far, and the computer's not the only thing in here. The cabinets are a lot less eye-catching than the computer, but knowing David, that's all the more reason to check. Lots of paperwork, bonds and holding, a platinum bar, his birth certificate might be nearly as valuable. Can't imagine what people would pay to steal David Asher's identity. And down here at the bottom, a binder. Noble's logo on the front and in the middle, enough pages to dwarf one of those phone books you see in period pieces. They're masking it in legalese even on the table of contents, but basically, this is his employment contract. Hold on to this for me. It must be very important if you're giving it to me. It certainly is very heavy. Is there anything else in there? Expecting an updated copy of his will to show up? It is a possibility, isn't it? Maybe in a corny old murder mystery. A widely beloved and respected genre with over 2 centuries of... There is something else. Your papers. That Evangeline Morgan be given immediate and complete ownership over the android designated Sarah. It's dated a few weeks back. Had he already made up his mind about all of this? If he had, why'd he hide this where no one else could find it? Was I just a backup plan? Well, at least we've got something a bit more concrete than Starling's word now. Her word should be plenty, shouldn't it? Not if people realize how precious you are. As a collector's item. We've yet to meet one person who knows what the hell you are, but Noble could have easily argued you fall under private technology or physical holdings, unless I had something like this. It's good that you do then. I'm glad that Father wanted me to go with a friend of his. Yeah, this'll get me a huge tax write-off when I donate you to a for-profit college. You could at least pick a charitable institution. It's just an old saying. All colleges have been for-profit since the 60s. That doesn't make me feel any better. You can cheer up in the car. Hail us a ride to the courthouse. Priority. There's an upcharge in this hour for priority transportation. That's irritating. But I'd like to have more than a few minutes to prepare once we get there. The upcharge is a multiplier of 5.7. I'll prepare on the way over. Very good, Adonai. Yippee! July 1st. Does it excite you, going into courtrooms? What do you mean? You don't feel the tension in the air as the audience murmurs amongst themselves? You don't feel a fiery sense of justice rising in your gut as the prosecution smirks at your ragtag assembly of witnesses? Do you really think this is going to be like some kind of movie where the good guys save the day? Probably not. Though, that would be nice if it were. What's your deal anyway? Did David train you off of a movie marathon from hell or something? We did watch films together, if that's what you're asking. Though he was rarely the one who suggested it. So you were the aggressor. What's an android get out of watching a flick anyway? What do I get? Why do you do it? What's your reason? I'm not sure how to answer your question. Never mind. Forget it. Forgot what I was talking to. I like the performances. Sure, there you go. Got a crush on Humphrey Bogart or something? He's a handsome man. But it's not the actors I like so much as their performance. The truth is, besides Father, I have very little experience when it comes to people. I hadn't noticed. I read the net and watched people and what they share of their lives. But it's also subtle, so hard to follow. There are so many unspoken rules that can't be taught, only learned, and I often struggle to grasp them. You're also complex, so detailed, but the characters on screen are exaggerated, larger than life. The actors enunciate them. Their body language is precise and meaningful. Their faces are bright and softly lit, and their eyes are... It's fiction, so these characters and their stories, they have a beginning, a middle, and end, and the people on screen don't ask anything of you except your attention. You can't disappoint them or make them feel awkward. You can just watch and learn. But what about you, Adonai? What about me? Do you like movies? Yeah, sure. Back when I was a kid. Really? Who's your favorite director? What was your favorite film? It was a long time ago. I don't remember. State building. Things are quieter than I expected here at the courthouse, though I've always felt courthouse is a bit of a misnomer. Government building is probably the best way to describe these towers. All-encompassing and impenetrably vague. 100 floors of officials and documents and paper-pushing queues, with a couple dozen courtrooms squeezed in along the way. Didn't think I'd be arguing in court when I woke up today. Didn't think that my friend would be dead or he'd have thrust an android in my lap either. I could just walk in there and concede. Emma would be irritated and more than a little confused, but I could play it off as an exercise in grief. The android would complain loudly, of course, but I wouldn't have to listen to it. Now that it's registered in my name, I could probably just order the damn thing to reset its memory. But I haven't done that. And I guess I don't plan to. Why? Must be because I have my suspicions as well. Sarah insists that David would never commit suicide, and I haven't actually stopped to ask myself whether or not I agree. David was rational, subdued, private, hard on himself, and not prone to emotional outbursts. So maybe that's why I'm finding myself outside a courtroom, prepared to humor and add suspicions before the state. Because I don't really believe David killed himself either. What's your progress bar at? I can confirm that I am making progress. Well shit, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But it would be difficult to summarize the progress in terms of completion percent. Give it your best shot anyway. 4%. Are you feeling confident in your case? Markedly less so after hearing that. Do you think the judge will be amendable to your argument? What are you talking about? Do you know the judge we've been assigned? Are they particularly lenient or strict? Adjuncts are always a coin flip, so... You do know what an adjutant is, don't you? Are you expecting to see a bearded old man with a robe and gavel when we get in there? Should I not? Adjuntants are android judges, okay? With all the authority that details. I am surprised to hear that people are willing to accept rulings made by automated dependents. Rulings come from landmark cases in the higher courts. Those are passed down by actual judges, real people with decades of study and experience. But not every eviction case or traffic ticket that ends up in courts requires years of legal experience. Sometimes all you need is a referee and a sentencing algorithm. So, androids are used to reduce caseloads? Been that way for decades. But how is a law that replaced judges ever enforced? Wouldn't there be injunctions, stallings? Judges did fight it for years at every level and in every theater, but the public lost their patience for that kind of obstruction during the 60s. The state needed to shred budgets across the board, and so judges that couldn't be replaced by years of legal battles were instead ushered into early retirement by unrelenting force of our great nation's accountants. And it's not controversial, having machines determine sentencing for human beings. Whatever controversy there is, it gets aimed at the machines, not the people who put them there. And the machines can't lose sleep over it. Besides, it used to be that even the most high profile of crimes wouldn't get a court date until weeks or months later. Nowadays, most crimes are prosecuted within a single business week. And that's not rushing things. Keeps people in my line of work on their toes, that's for sure. I'm surprised to hear that there's so much haste. Don't they teach you about classical conditioning in android school? You gotta feed the dog immediately after you ring the bell. If punishment doesn't follow the crime in quick succession, the lesson doesn't stick. I see. But if injunctions are so effective, why aren't they used in every trial? Aren't they used in politics? That's a logical question to ask. And the answer is, that logic only gets you so far when it comes to people. Doesn't everyone want the courts to be as just as possible? If injunctions are truly impartial and incorruptible, everyone wants justice, sure, but there are other considerations to be had, such as disgust. What? That's all people really care about, what all their morals boil down to. Just what they do or don't find disgusting. Only problem is, everything's more palatable when viewed through a screen. So when everyone sees the world through AR and cameras and no one ever truly gets dirt under their fingernails, you'd be surprised what you can get away with. I don't understand. Yeah, well, therein lies the problem. How long have I been playing? My throat's starting to get sore from talking so much. I might have to call it here. Emma! I love Emma! Okay, I can't stop here. Just a preliminary hearing, huh? You wouldn't know it from the look on her face. But I shouldn't have expected any leeway once we stepped into the courtroom. Not with her. That's the adjudgant up there. Is it asleep? It's loading. Oh, it's... okay. It needs to load. Don't be rude. Not every ad can afford to be decked out as extravagantly as you. Especially not those the state buys in bulk. There's an audience. You mean the gallery? That's nothing. It could have been a lot worse. Word of any trial in the case of David Asher's death must have spread like wildfire. Even a mock trial like this one. Detectives like Reyes or London would get chewed out for leaking things to the press. But uniformed officers had little to lose and a lot to gain by dropping a text to their attentive friends in the media. And then there's the corporate plants. Interns usually, preferably ones with modded eyes. It's illegal to film inside a courtroom, but this is the year 2086. Things are gonna get out one way or another. I don't like having my face on camera. I don't like attention in general. But I'm not such a coward that I'd skip David's funeral just because there'd be a paparazzi outside of it. My pretty little likeness, it was going to end up in the background of some tabloid photograph one way or another by the end of this circus. At least this way it's decent marketing for my legal services. What will happen once the adjudgant finishes loading? How will the trial proceed? With all those films you watch, you'd figure that you could extrapolate. I'm asking so as to correct any misconceptions. Well, not everything you saw on the silver screen is outdated. The court will come to order, there will be a clarification of the charges, the defense enters a plea, and if it's not guilty, the prosecution begins making their case. That means calling witnesses to the stand, correct? Mostly. Sometimes they'll testify virtually from a separate location. Depends on the security concerns surrounding the particular individual in the case. What do you do then? Sit here and watch? Not if I want to get paid. I cross-examine witnesses and the prosecution are done questioning them. After the prosecution are done questioning them, I can present evidence or witnesses of my own in response as long as I have discovery backing me. You've said that before. Discovery means just that I can't pull stuff out of my pocket and present it without any kind of context. I have to have proof that I acquired it legally during the course of my investigation. Most of the time it means having recordings or witnesses that can verify my investigation, which I can provide. You didn't think I was letting you tag along because I liked you, did you? And the jury, I don't see where they would sit. The jury hasn't sat in the actual courtroom for years now. They have their own chambers where they watch a feed of the trial's proceedings and I've never been able to pronounce that word. I'm not going to even try. I don't know why. It's one of those words that I've never been able to say. And that's not an issue. Don't people want to look someone in the eye before passing judgment on them? You've got an old-fashioned sense of justice, don't you? But there's no jury at preliminary hearing anyway. It's only meant to evaluate whether or not the prosecution had enough evidence to go to trial. A mere formality in today's day and age. With tools like optics and arcs, there's never any shortage of evidence to work with. So you all have to do today is convince the adjudgant. Easier said than done. Adjudgants lean heavily towards evidence over arguments. Right now, the evidence suggests that David killed himself. It's going to be an uphill battle. I can't afford to stumble. I need to focus on establishing an alternate interpretation of the fact, and it needs to be solid. But I don't have a suspect or even a motive for killing David yet. Anyway, I'll need to be sharp. Emmett doesn't play nice enough for me to be anything less. I think it's waking up. This third lower court is now in session. Adjudgant AD_84 presiding. I call to order the case of the People v. Asher. Do the people wish to make an opening statement? No, Your Honor. No point in bothering when it comes to the adjudgant here, when it's just the adjudgant here. Very well. Do the defense wish to make an opening statement? Not at this time, Your Honor. Might as well ring the bell and get the shit show started. Blah. If neither the people nor defense wish to make an opening statement, then it falls to me to set the stage. My model name is Adjudgant. My unit designation code is AD_84. I am a machine, an automated dependent, and I serve the state by presiding over trials. You might find yourself wondering, why? What gives machine a right to judge a human? A fair question, but the answer is simple. In every culture, in every society, no matter how it's worshipped, enshrined, or deified, justice has one defining quality. Justice is beautiful. Like a balance equation, like the golden ratio, like the Virtuvian man, justice is beautiful. So it gives me the right. This gorgeous bod. Whatever, forget it. Forget I said anything. I was trying to lighten the mood, but I can see everyone hates me. Do the trial without me. They're guilty or whatever. Your Honor. Wait, what the flip? This defendant's already dead. Why are we doing this? Is this a debug thing? Because I'll log the error if I need to. No, Your Honor. This is a preliminary hearing to determine whether David Asher did in fact commit suicide, as he Yeah, I get it. You want to make sure he wasn't cuckoo in the cranium before you cut up his will like a T-bone. Didn't realize Junjins were so lively. They aren't. They're supposed to be austere and statuesque. Looks like we got this served the most in need of repairs a Junjin the court system could find. Whatever paper pusher we rushed to get this trial must have wanted a little payback for the kindness. What's that look for? Could it be you're trying to size me up? Wouldn't dream of it, Your Honor. Good, because you have doubts on my ability to run this. If you have doubts about my ability to run this trial, I could always enact summary judgment here and now. I'm sure you'd find my ruling to be fair and even-handed. That won't be necessary, Your Honor. She's much more of a character than I'm used to seeing up there, even counting all the flesh and blood judges I've met. But she's still just an adjudgant. She'll follow the evidence where it leads. So as long as I can make a few adjustments for the occasional outburst from the bench, my plan's still workable. So, people, shall we get started with that first witness? Right away, Your Honor. The people call Dr. Yumi Sato to the stand. Goodbye, Sotera. Enjoy your lunch. I probably should end stream. I'm kind of dying. My voice is starting to get bad. I should have stopped when I said it earlier. Whatever. I did just save. I know I did, but I'm going to, yeah, double check. I also have to do things before tonight because I have a D&D game and I have to get ready for it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. It was nice to see you, Sir Terrier, if you're still in the chat. And yeah, I'm gonna go. Hope you guys have a good day. See ya.